stand by or stay silent at the continuing denial of rights and justice for the Palestinian people. The labor leader also condemned the Israeli aggression on Gaza last week, in which 25 Palestinians were killed, describing it as a distressing and dangerous. The silence of many governments, including our own, has been deafening. He remarked, adding the UK government should instead unequivocally condemn the killing of demonstrators, including children, paramedics and journalists, and other civilians, and freeze arms to sales to Israel. South African President and African National Congress leader Cyril Ramaphosa has thanked supporters for the voting for the party. The ruling ANC has been declared winner of the general elections in South Africa in a vote which was conducted peacefully, for the most part of ANC secured 58% of the vote ahead of the Democratic Alliance, which received 21%. The economic freedom fighters came in third with 11%, with the leftist agenda garnering significant support. President Cyril Ramaphosa called on the people to build a united South Africa.
We are saying thank you to the people of South Africa for returning the only organization that can take our country forward, the one and only glorious movement of our people, the African National Congress. This is a new era, Congress. We are going to do things differently. We are going to do things effectively. We are going to make sure that we inject growth in our economy. We are going to make sure that we invite investors to come and invest. We are going to make sure that we give the young people of our country great opportunities so that young people can get ahead in life.
And now we change topic. The Attorney General of Ecuador has agreed to deliver all of Julian Assange's personal materials to the United States, according to a report by the Spanish newspaper El País, which said it had given the official document detailing the agreement. The documents, mobile phones, computer files, memory units, and other devices of the WikiLeaks co-founder are in the Ecuadorian embassy in London, where Assange has been residing for the past 7 years, before being arrested on April 11 by United Kingdom police with the blessing of the Ecuadorian government. According to El País, on May 20th at 9 a.m. local time, Assange's sealed room will be open for police to seize all materials. Baltasar Garzón, one of Assange's lawyers, said that delivering the documents to the U.S. is an absolute violation of Ecuador's asylum institution.
Yeah, because the actual footballs are inside, the field there.
And the Citizen Revolution movement in Ecuador is calling on authorities to investigate Swiss bank accounts allegedly linked to President Lenin Moreno's wife. Let's find out more on the following report from our correspondent, Denis Herrera.
Since the accusations against him came to light through the INA Papers case, the Ecuadorian president has rejected any connection with the offshore company or alleged assets in tax havens. Opposition and government lawmakers are waiting on the unfolding matter.
We believe that he has made a good decision. We should remember that we've already denounced it, but we also want to clarify a few things. We are still very much interested. There is total transparency, and we are supporting the movements and our president's decision.
I think it was a good initiative that has taken a long time, but that must be the position of a president. We in the Fiscalization Commission have already finished our report that is now in the Legislative Administration Council, and we hope it will go to the Assembly very soon.
Meanwhile, the Citizen Revolution movement is questioning whether President Moreno is being as transparent as he claims to be. The lawmakers also are criticizing the General Prosecutor's Office.
We strongly condemn any use of tax havens by public officials. It's prohibited by law. And this matter allegedly involving the head of the state is now in the hands of the Attorney General. It's clear this was a strategic move on the part of Moreno, because the evidence was presented many weeks ago, and what Moreno is doing right now is trying to appear transparent. But he has taken this stance only because the country is watching. Ecuadorians are outrightly rejecting corruption. The people are outraged that a president may be involved in illegal, corrupt activities.
During his tenure, President Moreno has been very emphatic in his disagreement with companies linked to tax havens. Now, the Citizen Revolution movement has requested that the authorities investigate bank accounts held by the president's wife in Switzerland. Denise Herrera, Telesur, Ecuador.
And Lithuanian citizens have voted in the country's presidential elections and in 2 referendums. 9 candidates are running for the country's top job, and more than 2 million eligible voters are expected to cast their ballots. In the plebiscite, citizens are voting on the number of members in the country's parliament and on the right to dual citizenship.
We voted for the president and for the right to have a second citizenship because our kids are born in Ireland and we want them to be citizens of Ireland and Lithuania.
Meanwhile, thousands of people have marched in Brussels calling for climate and social justice. Protesters carried signs, banners and survival blankets and rallied in Brussels' streets demanding swift actions on climate change. Several environmental and anti-poverty associations also joined the march, taking place 2 weeks prior to general elections in Belgium.
We still hope to make things move with this protest. Now, will that be enough? I don't know. But what's certain is that if it's not enough, we will continue to mobilize and make sure that we are heard, that there are things being done to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions, and so on.
Time for a first break here from the South. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Telesur English and on my account at Laura P. Telesur. Stay with us. And we are back. Libyan government forces have arrested 4 combatants loyal to Khalifa Haftar and destroyed several war vehicles. Forces belonging to the Libyan government of the National Accord have repelled attacks by Haftar's armed groups attempting to take control of Tawisha, Sahwani and Sahara regions in South Tripoli. At least 4 soldiers were reportedly arrested and a number of military vehicles were destroyed. And government forces have expanded their ground offensive in northwestern Syria, pushing into the last rebel stronghold as calls for a ceasefire mount. The pro-government troops battle insurgents led by Al-Qaeda outside Mina Ghazal village in Idlib province. The government offensive has so far focused on areas at the southern edge of the rebel stronghold, resulting in further destruction and casualties. United Nations and groups have so far suspended activities in the affected areas. And now we go to China, that has said it will not make any concessions in its trade talks with the United States. The Chinese trade negotiator Liu He said that trade talks with the United States would continue in Beijing, but warned there will be no concessions on important principles. Although Liu deemed the 2 days of talks productive, he said differences continue to exist, vowing that China was not going to make concessions on matters of principles. A Chinese economist also ruled out any effect on the country's economy as it relies more on domestic demand than U.S. markets.
China's economic development is unstoppable. It won't be disturbed too much if trade frictions continue. The impact is mainly on some of China's export industries, while our development has already gradually begun to rely on domestic demand.
We continue talking about China because it's denying accusations by the West that it is pressuring Africa countries to pay their loans or seize their assets. That's according to Tian Lin, a spokesperson for the China International Development Cooperation Agency. Lin said interest-free loans has long been a part of China's policy in Africa. He said that the country will adhere to the principles of giving more and taking less. Last month, China canceled all interest-free loans it advanced to Ethiopia in 2018, as well as Cameroon's $78 million debt earlier in the year. We stay in China. The Silk Road International Exhibition launched this Saturday, under the motto of New Era, New Pattern and New Development. The international exhibition attracts more than 2,000 companies from 25 countries. Russia and Cambodia have been named members of honor of the event. This meeting is focused on China's achievements in mitigation and reduction of poverty, as well as international cooperation. More than 30 activities are expected for the 5-day event, including exhibitions, forums, conferences, and activities focused on investment and commerce. And now at least 6 people have been killed in an attack on a Catholic church in Burkina Faso. According to authorities, a group of attackers came into the church and began to shoot while worshippers tried to flee. After the attack, the gunman reportedly burned down the church's den shops and a small restaurant. There was no immediate claim of responsibility. In India, their citizens have voted on the second last phase of the country's general elections. Voters in Delhi and northern India has cast their ballots in one of the last phases of the vote, in which more than 100 million people are expected to participate. The election began on April 11th and will end on May 19th. Votes will be counted on May 23rd.
If the country functions well, then automatically the people's problem will be resolved. People's problems, I don't think they are as big as challenges a country faces as a whole. If the country is safe and secure, then its people are also safe and secure.
Time for a second and very short break. Stay tuned. And we are back. The Caribbean Court of Justice has reserved judgment in the case of the Guyanese opposition legal challenge against an appeal court ruling that had invalidated last December's no-confidence vote against the government. Over the past 2 days, the Trinidad-based court heard arguments from both sides. The government is claiming 34 votes were needed to pass the motion. The opposition has argued that the established figure is 33. In January, Guyana's High Court ruled in favor of the opposition, but an appeal court overturned that ruling. The CCJ, the country's highest and final appeal court, must renew submissions and hand down a decision at a later date. And the Pink Floyd musician Roger Waters has a new message of solidarity for Venezuela and for the Embassy Protection Collective in Washington, D.C. The rock star said that citizens must stop the Trump administration and not allow them to get away with their actions.
There are young Americans putting their lives on the line, trying to help their neighbors in Venezuela defend their sovereign property in Washington, D.C. Help them. Get down there. Light a candle for them. Write to your congressman. Make a fuss. Because this doesn't just affect everybody in Venezuela. This is the lifeblood of the United States of America. Is disappearing down the drain. This is the start of the brown shirt revolution. And if you let Pompeo and Trump and the rest of them, Abrams, get away with this, they will stop nowhere.
And the Embassy Protection Collective remain anchored to Venezuela's most important diplomatic office in the United States. And our correspondent, Alina Duarte, has been covering from the ground and sent us the following report.
Hello, good afternoon. We are outside the Venezuelan embassy here in Washington, D.C., and I'm with Aminta. She's a member of the Embassy Protection Collective. Aminta, thank you so much for being with us. Tell us, why did you decide to be part of this collective?
Well, as a U.S. citizen and also somebody who is Nicaraguan and Palestinian, I see that the struggles that are happening within Venezuela are so similar to what I'm seeing here in D.C., and not just in D.C., but also in Nicaragua and in Palestine and internationally as a whole. And I just felt that as a U.S. citizen, it was crucial for me and others to call out the U.S. government for their disgusting, violent actions that only serve the cause of imperialism. And so, you know, after learning a lot about the Bolivarian Revolution, learning about, you know, the great strides that Chavez and Maduro have done in order to help the people of Venezuela, and considering the fact that 67% of Venezuelans voted democratically for Maduro, you know, it is just crucial to show all of our international support with those in Venezuela.
We have seen that the Venezuelan opposition have been threatening a lot of people, including you. How has been that?
I mean, it's really, I want to say that I'm shocked, but at the same time I'm not. I've seen the Secret Service, MPD, federal agents. They have all worked alongside the pro-U.S. coup, pro-Guaido opposition people that are aiming to just establish and legitimize Juan Guaido, somebody that only 1 in 5 Venezuelans even knew about in their home country. And so, I mean, it doesn't surprise me that the State Department is working alongside with people who are literal fascists. These people outside, they have said anti-black slurs to us, anti-indigenous slurs, anti-LGBT slurs. They have sexually assaulted people who have supported us and ourselves as well. They have also physically assaulted, you know, some of our Embassy Protection members. They had huge bruises on their arms, and alongside not just with, you know, directly physical forms of violence, these people have also permitted that food does not have any form of entry within the embassy within the last 2 weeks. They have cut off the water, they have cut off the electricity. Shame on PEPCO for working alongside with the U.S. State Department to engage in nefarious imperialist acts of violence.
Can you explain what PEPCO is and what happened? What's the situation now inside the embassy?
Definitely. So PEPCO is basically the company that just supplies water and electricity to the Venezuelan embassy, and the rightful owners of the embassy under the legitimate government and administration of Nicolas Maduro, they paid the bill. We called, and even then they just read to us just like a scripted message, you know? And so it is shame on Pepco for just being another puppet of the empire.
And now that you are outside the embassy, what's your message to the Bolivarian people?
I mean, I am in complete and total solidarity with the Bolivarian people. The revolution continues to live. It has been such a beautiful progression. At first, it was just a few of us, you know, organizing and starting at the embassy, and to see this blossom and to see so much attention being garnered to it. Although, yes, we are fighting against the U.S. empire, I really do believe that truth prevails and that we will come out stronger than ever before. This is huge. I mean, the fact that U.S. Americans are taking over a foreign embassy within the heart of the capital, that has so much potential to change the ways in which the United States engages in its foreign policy. And so the Bolivarian Revolution lives on, and I am just so honored to be alongside with the people of Venezuela.
Thank you so much, Aminta. Well, we'll be reporting on this and more, and back to you to the studio.
Thank you, Alina. And now in Jamaica, the reggae group, the Overground Revolution, has produced a musical piece titled Hands Off Venezuela. The band joined the international community's call for non-intervention in Venezuela's affairs. The song also denounced the illegal blockades imposed on the Bolivarian Republic by the United States. Here's a sneak peek of the track.
Hands off Venezuela, Mr. Donald Duck, yeah. Got to tend it now and hands off Venezuela, Mr. Donald Duck.
You can find these and many other stories on our website, TerrorSureEnglish.net. Thank you for watching. Stay with us.
Oh gosh, you ministers of war, oh no, you better stay far. Stay far. We're eliminating poverty, standing up for humanity. This is the part of our history, oh God, in this time of reality, oh God. Hands off Venezuela, Mr. Donald Duck. Hands off Venezuela, Mr. Donald Duck. You chump your call.
为了保持身体健康，我冥想。
Para mantenerme saludable, yo corro.
To keep myself healthy, I study. Για να διατηρηθώ υγιής,